When you renovate your kitchen, the last thing you want is to have regrets with the final outcome. I've renovated 5 of my own kitchens personally, and I've designed thousands of kitchens for homeowners like you. I've come up with a great system for crafting a functional design that will leave you with the least amount of regrets. Yet, there are a few things that I would do differently in my next kitchen if I had the room for it, or if I just had a thought about it at the time. This kitchen that I'm in was part of a much bigger renovation, and it left us with some limitations for the size of the kitchen. While I do love designing for small spaces, it does force you to make decisions. And one such choice was the use of a range as opposed to a cooktop and a separate wall oven. Wall ovens are great for the obvious reason of getting the oven off the lower access point in the kitchen. This allows for easier use and increased storage due to the deep cabinet it needs to be housed in. However, in a small kitchen, it would take away any precious counter space and could make the kitchen look too boxed in. You need at least 30 inches of extra space to make something like this work. And in my opinion, having a cooktop built into a set of cabinets with drawers is a little more higher end look, nicer finish. Unless, of course, you have a really high-end range. Now, I'm not saying that a regular range looks bad. I quite like mine, but a cooktop, when designed well, has a higher-end feel to it. It looks less high-end when you don't have the space to separate the oven and the cooktop properly, and forcing a wall oven into a small kitchen might be a less functional decision in the long run, and it may make your kitchen look cluttered. In my kitchen, it just would not have been possible. It's always a good idea to work out all of the design options for your kitchen with your designer or builder so that you can figure out if a wall oven will work or not work in your kitchen space. And this is something that I can help you with in a one-on-one consultation as well. There's a link in the description below to find out more details. But in my next kitchen, I will just prioritize a wall oven that's waist high off the floor and separate from the cooktop area. As long as there's landing area around your oven, it doesn't need to be in the same cooking zone as your cooktop. And as we age, it's important to think about how we access the less functional parts of our kitchen. And a lower oven is just less functional. On the flip side, you may rarely ever use your oven, so adding a pantry or another cabinet might be a much better option for you. Always make decisions for your kitchen based on your needs. These are just things that I would do differently. Because the depth of this kitchen is rather shallow, it only allows for a 24-inch deep island. I mean, it's still decent, and we do all our prep and we bring our groceries in. We use this for everything, but I really do miss a deeper island. A deeper island gives you much more prep space and working area for prepping meals and putting away groceries and social engagements if there's seating. And generally it just looks a little bit nicer. But don't get me wrong, I'm very happy with the island I have. We prep everything on this and there's lots of storage, but just a little bit deeper would be really nice. Assuming your kitchen can fit an island, always prioritize the use of its counter space and storage it provides. An island can be a central point in most kitchens, and this makes it a very multifunctional area. While I'm not a fan of putting anything in the island other than storage, there could be a choice in your kitchen design to either put a sink or cooktop or other appliance, but make sure you really plan that properly. I still think about making this island a little bit deeper. I don't know, let me know what you think in the comments. This house was originally my grandparents'. They raised 3 kids with the smallest kitchen you can imagine, not unlike a lot of homes built in the 50s. Kitchens were not designed or prioritized in the same way that they are today. Yet even though this kitchen was very tiny by today's standards, it didn't stop my grandmother from baking and canning, skinning rabbits, and plus all the everyday meals. Not to mention it was an eat-in kitchen where you'd find a group of people on a Friday night playing cards and enjoying a meal together. So I guess if they can make it work, I shouldn't complain a whole lot. Now, one of the things that make a kitchen much more functional, especially a heavily used kitchen, is a prep sink. A smaller sink somewhere else in the kitchen that takes the pressure off the main sink, spreading out the cleaning and the prepping tasks, making the flow of the kitchen a whole lot better. 2 people can be prepping meals together or working on prepping and cleaning at the same time. I have a client who's currently putting in a prep sink for the sole purpose of her kids washing their hands. And it's also an opportunity for added accessibility by making it lower or even wheelchair accessible. And if you're selling the house, it signals a little more of a high-end feel and thoughtful design. Hello.
Hey. Hi, my muffin. Hi, muffin. Oh my goodness.
In a kitchen the size of mine, it just wouldn't make sense. but it would sure be handy. From rinsing your produce to filling up your coffee machine, even washing your hands, there's a lot of kitchens that could benefit from having a second sink. And again, design decisions need to be weighed against other options for the same space. A prep sink could take up a 24-inch cabinet, and that same space could be used for a pantry or a drawer bank or trash pullout. You get the idea. So in a smaller kitchen like mine, there's other solutions that would be more important to the base function of the kitchen, and that's what you need to prioritize. But that being said, it is something that I would like to include in my next kitchen. And I will, if there is one. We all have limitations due to the constraints of size, but a good designer will help you map out the best functioning layout to show you all of the options. One item that I was able to add to the design of this kitchen was a base microwave. Now, in hindsight, it wasn't the best idea, but mostly because we never really used the microwave that much, and it ended up breaking anyway. So I just got rid of it, and I reclaimed the space for storage and added some pullouts. It functions much better this way, gives us added accessibility and storage, and we don't miss our microwave at all. We use our air fryer to reheat anything that needs to be reheated, so it works just great for us. However, in my next kitchen, along with the wall oven, a steam oven or possibly one of those 5-in-1 units or a speed oven, something that has a multifunctional unit, I think will be something I will prioritize. Now, I'm not even sure that I need an oven at all. Right now we have one of these double ovens that has a smaller top oven and a bigger bottom oven. And we only ever use the top oven anyway. We rarely ever convert it back to a whole big single, and we rarely ever use the bottom. So I don't think I would need a wall oven in the first place. I could probably just get away with just having a steam oven or a 5-in-1 combo oven in one cabinet. But this is why it's important to consider your lifestyle when you're designing a kitchen. A designer like me could tell you that a wall oven is just the best choice, but it needs to fit in with the habits that you have in the kitchen, how you use the space. My next kitchen will be designed very intentionally, and therefore it will have a wall oven and probably a steam oven with a separate cooktop. You might be thinking, why didn't I design this kitchen with a little more intention? Even though there's limitations to the size of this kitchen, that's not really the reason that I designed it this way. When we renovated this house, I was not working as a kitchen designer. I didn't have a YouTube channel. I wasn't talking about any of this stuff. Before that time, I had been a kitchen designer for about 15 years. But I made a transition in my work and career, and I was teaching grade 5. So I designed this kitchen on muscle memory. We needed a pantry. We did not want to have an OTR, so we ended up with the base microwave. Both options aren't great. I know I did not want a corner cabinet. I knew we needed lots of drawer banks. We needed an island. So there was just some things that were just automatically put in the design. I mapped it out, sent it in, got it made, and the rest is history. Now fast forward almost 5 years, I'm back in designing kitchens, really thinking through what those years of experience taught me about functional design, and then looking at my kitchen going, I probably would have done this differently. I would like to add this. This is a cool feature that I would absolutely love to have. And that's why this kitchen wasn't intentional as I would have liked it to be if I was designing it now in the framework of what I do now for a living, which is make YouTube videos talking strictly about kitchen design. For instance, we put in laminate countertop. And as a designer on the internet, you get flack about having laminate countertop. You should have some high-end stone, and how can you be talking about design if you don't have quartz or something like that? Whatever. Laminate countertop is perfectly fine. If you don't have the budget to include a higher-end countertop, there's certainly nothing wrong with laminate. Would I like to upgrade it? Sure I would. Would I upgrade it to quartz? Probably not. I'm likely going to upgrade it to something like Decton or porcelain or maybe even quartzite. But in the meantime, putting in laminate is a great decision. It looks nice. Some people think it's quartz in the videos. They're like, oh, what kind of quartz do you have? I'm like, I have laminate. And then they unsubscribe. Just know that you have to make choices based on a lot of different factors. One of those being budget, one of those being time, one of them being we need to get in this house because there's a lot of stuff happening. We renovated the whole space, added 2 additions. There's a lot going on. So I just couldn't prioritize the kitchen the way I would have liked to. So there you go. I don't know what my grandmother did for spices, but I'm pretty sure they were just all stuffed in a wall cabinet somewhere above the stove somehow. And I don't even really think she cared about where her spices were. But the mistake that I made in this kitchen was not thinking about how spices are going to be stored and accessed. I ended up installing them in this narrow spice pullout, which technically works, but it's really not ideal. I'd love to hear your solutions for spices, so let me know in the comments. But I think the next thing that I would do in my next kitchen, in fact, I know I would do this, is put in a spice drawer insert. This keeps spices easy to access, neat and tidy, just accessible. The narrow pullout is best suited for like bulk storage, cooking oils and stuff like that. I do have a drawer here that I could convert into a spice drawer, but it's technically now just a junk drawer. And I'm a little hesitant to get rid of the junk drawer because I think every kitchen needs some place to put all that miscellaneous stuff. However, it's something I could do, and maybe I will. Because every kitchen should have thoughtful spice storage, tray and flatware storage, small appliance storage, and suitable trash solutions, among all kinds of other things. But these things get missed sometimes. And for me, the spices really got missed. What's with all the camera angles and changes? I'm just trying to do something different instead of sitting down in my office for this video. So I hope it's at least a little engaging. Connect with me for a one-on-one consultation to make sure you don't miss anything in your next kitchen. And be sure to watch this video next, where I outline my AEIOU approach for functional kitchen design. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.